WWE Crown Jewel, another event in Saudi Arabia. This one being the best out of all of them, but that doesn't really say much because they've all have been awful. There was no excitement going into this pay-per-view for anybody. I don't see why there would be. And the show came, it aired, shit happened, and it ended. That was it. There was some history made, some emotional moments, but besides that, 2 or 3 good moments in a show doesn't necessarily make it a good show, and that is why I am saying that Crown Jewel is leaning more towards not a good show. It was not the worst show I've ever seen. It was not awful, depending on who you ask, but the show as a whole was very boring in a sense. You had a lot of matches that nobody cared about. Some matches that were better than you thought. And then there was championship matches that were complete garbage. The ending of this show is what you need to see. If you're one of those people that's like, do I sit back and watch this for 3.5 hours? The answer is no, because it's not important. The show didn't have to happen. If you missed all of the show, the only thing you need to see is the ending of it. It's a mixed bag for me for Crown Jewel, because I want to say that some of this was really, really good. The women I'm going to get to, I think that the concept of the women, it had nothing to do with the match. Forget about Natalya versus Lacey Evans. It was just the concept of women finally wrestling in Saudi Arabia and showing them on a bigger stage, and hopefully maybe for Saudi Arabia, it was just a big step for not only WWE but Saudi Arabia as a whole. I don't know so much for Saudi Arabia, but for WWE, and obviously those of you that know that Saudi Arabia has extremely strict rules with women, so for them to come out and have a match when the first couple shows they were not allowed to compete is pretty special. Just that they were able to do that despite somebody who said it was a 5-year-old girl that actually threw a water bottle at Natalya. As you can see, her upbringing is with the Saudi Arabia standards, but we'll see where that leads to. I think that was a great step. It was an emotional moment for both performers and people around the world just to see something like that, and I have to give WWE major props for being able to pull that off. That was probably the most invested moment you probably were in the whole show, except for the ending. So I'm going to go through this show. Some of these matches I don't have a lot of notes for because I really lost interest and wasn't paying attention. But I do have the results and of every match and some spots for certain matches. Opening the show was one of the worst matches of the night. Now, I understand that when you have Brock Lesnar, you don't expect a 15-minute classic. But we all know Cain Velasquez is complete garbage in WWE standards. This was a quick match, which I kind of expected, but it was completely awful. Cain taps from the Kimura lock from Brock Lesnar early on in this match. After he taps, Brock won't let go. Rey Mysterio enters the ring and hits Lesnar with a chair. That did nothing. Rey Mysterio then gets thrown out of the ring by Brock Lesnar, and he then gets back in the ring and starts to just wail off on chairs, shots to Brock Lesnar, to the point where he scurries out of the ring and he scurries away. And he is left standing there, but Cain Velasquez lost awfully quick. This was a UFC-style match for the most part. In this match, it was nothing special, nothing exciting. Lesnar retained, and that was the right decision because, God forbid, they put this... Wouldn't even look for a discount. I would have to drink gallons of bleach because that is when it hits an all-time low. The next match was way too long, and you expected that. I actually have a lot of notes for this. This is the Tag Team Turmoil match. I'm not going to list all the teams because there's too many, and I just don't feel like it. Rude and Ziggler started this match versus the Lucha House Party. There was a point in this match where Dorado jumped into a super kick that was outside from Dolph Ziggler that looked really cool. The ending of this match saw Rude distracts the referee. Ziggler jumps in and hits Metalik, who then catches a rough DDT, and the Bobby Roode and Dolph Ziggler eliminated the Lucha House Party. The next team to come out was Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins. And for about a good solid 30 seconds, they were in this match. Super kick, zigzag, Roode pins, and they are eliminated. Out they go. Heavy Machinery comes out, and they're in this match for a little bit longer. They battle for a bit. Otis goes on a spree, knocking everything over. Heavy Machinery does also get eliminated by Roode and Ziggler, who are on a roll at this point. And now you start to get some of the better teams come out. New Day comes out, and Heavy Machinery, I lied, was eliminated by the New Day. After they were eliminated, the B team came out, and they completely got bodied by the New Day. Revival comes out, was another team that came out next. They were dominant against the New Day early. Revival was in control strongly in this match after B team was eliminated. Then the last team to come out in this match, second to last, the OC. They came out and took out the New Day. The War Raiders come out finally. There were the two teams left. The OC was able to win this match after eliminating the War Raiders. I'm sorry I don't have more notes for this match, but matches like these are so fast-paced and there's so much going on. The OC was crowned the best tag team in the world, which we all know is not true, because if you watch professional wrestling, you know that that's probably an AEW tag team, which actually I have not seen AEW on Wednesday yet, which is something I'm going to have to watch. So that was that. The OC were able to win that. Was what it was. The match was way too long. I just didn't care. Nobody cared. It means nothing. You know, like even when Strowman, like when they had the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal in the WrestleMania, not a single winner that has won that trophy has gone on to do anything that was relevant to that trophy winning of better. They may have gone on to do better by coincidence, but the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal has done nothing but put superstars who have no spot on the TV show in a match. Same thing with the Greatest Royal Rumble, which they did. Braun Strowman winning that. Who cares? So that was that. The next match, now this was actually a very athletic match, and Mansoor was taking on Cesaro, and I was actually looking forward to this, but it was hard to pay attention. I was a little bit bored and distracted, but there was a lot of spots with Cesaro. Towards the end of this match, there was a top rope powerbomb from Mansoor that was awesome, and to win the match, Mansoor hit the most beautiful moonsault to pin Cesaro, and it was a huge moment for him and the country as well. Mansoor is in terms of WWE, easily the king of Saudi Arabia. You could tell how much it meant to him, and for some reason, he had a moment like this in the last Saudi Arabia show. I actually was behind this, and I like to see people in their home country, especially a country, not so much a state or a city, but a country representing them, regardless of what you think of Saudi Arabia. It was cool to see him happy and to see him on top of the world. I like Mansoor a lot, so I want to see more from him. I know he's in NXT, and another thing, I've been behind on NXT. There's just too much going on, especially with sports, but now that's going to die down a little bit with baseball ending. So that was that. Tyson Fury versus Braun Strowman. I didn't care when they started the build, I didn't care when they were in the middle of it, and I didn't care when it ended. And when the match ended, I didn't care. So throughout this whole entire program of Tyson Fury, I didn't care. This was a power-hitting match as expected. Tyson Fury definitely looked a lot better than Cain Velasquez did. For somebody that's not a WWE wrestler. Strowman did his outside the ring run, and for some reason I kind of like when he does that. They were He does outside the ring, and he was control most of the match. Now the way that this match ended, this was a quicker match. There's not so many things to review in this match, but now for some reason this ending sequence was quick, but I really liked it because it looked really smooth. Braun Strowman was on the ring apron, standing on the outside, and he was knocked out completely by Tyson Fury, who would win the match via countout. So Strowman was pissed after the match. He came in, power slammed Fury, and then stormed off. And Fury ended up getting back up. He got up from that power bomb. It felt like, 5 seconds. So that's that with that. So Fury wins this match. There's no need for any of this to continue, but for some reason WWE likes to continue storylines that had no hype behind them to begin with, and they like to kill the ones that have potential. AJ Styles versus Humberto Carrillo for the U.S. title. Now, Carrillo has actually looked good, and he's gotten more of a spotlight. This was a slow-moving match at first, showed good offense, but it was a run-of-the-mill match pretty much for AJ Styles. Carrillo looked good as well. Styles finished with a phenomenal forearm to retain the U.S. title. This was a big night for the OC and AJ Styles as well, as they all retained. Styles retained his U.S. title, and the OC won the trophy that means absolutely nothing. The next match, it wasn't, like I said, the match for this. It wasn't so much the match, it was the story and what they were able to do. It was Natalya versus Lacey Evans in the first women's wrestling match in Saudi Arabia. As a whole, this really made history, and I know WWE says every single thing that they do is history, but this was history. It put women's rights into the limelight, especially in Saudi Arabia, where it's a more strict concept. The match itself was nothing special, and Natalya won with the sharpshooter, but you could see how emotional both of these women are and were in this match, as well as Corey Graves and Michael Cole ringside. This was fantastic. Again, not the match, but it's just that they're able to do something like this in a country like that. And one of the most heartfelt moments to me, where I almost got choked up, was when Natalya went outside the ring, and there was a woman, Saudi Arabian woman, in the first row that was hugging Natalya, hugging her, and I just thought that that was such a big moment, and I never thought I'd say that Natalya and Lacey Evans would have a big moment like that, but that was absolutely iconic that they were able to do something like that, and I was very shocked when they announced the match, but this was great, and hopefully when we continue these Saudi Arabia shows, we will be able to see more women's in the spotlight, and I'm going to get into something in a minute about the flight back from Saudi Arabia to Buffalo for tonight's SmackDown. I'm actually going to get into that in a minute. Let me talk about that now. So basically, the flight back from Saudi Arabia is labeled as 14 hours. That's a really long flight to Buffalo. So the Saudi Arabian superstars on SmackDown, Roman Reigns, Baron Corbin, all them advertised for tonight. Most of them won't be able to make it. However, it was stated that the big names are going to be able to make it. Vince McMahon himself flew out on a private jet. Of course, Vince McMahon's not gonna not make it to his show. So, but screw all the other superstars. Now, this is what I'm saying. Rallying to the women's point, those were the only two women, to my knowledge, that were at the show. So I would expect maybe the women to be have more of a spotlight tonight on SmackDown, just based on that fact alone, that the women were not presently there, and certain names, Roman Reigns, I don't know who else, Brock Lesnar was one of the people also that made that flight back, not being able to make it for SmackDown tonight. So, and they're also stating that there's going to be some surprises. So I don't know what the hell. I think it's going to be a wacky episode of SmackDown tonight. And just on that sole fact alone, I wasn't expecting the show to be good anyway, because weekly WWE is garbage. But I was expecting maybe to see potentially what we'll get out of that. But you will see probably the main event and most of the matches advertised. I don't know if the New Day and the Revival were able to make that flight. So that was that. Big step for the women, big step for the company, and hopefully for Saudi Arabia as well. The next match was one of the matches that was built a lot. It was Team Flair versus Team Hogan in a 5-on-5. Now, for a match like this, normally it's just a complete clusterfuck, and it played out well, but normally for matches like this, I would say that it's better to have a 5-on-5 elimination, just so that there's more action. But this match did fine, and it wasn't... I think that this match was slow, but everybody got some offense in, and I think that overall this was a decent match. Ricochet was getting hit a lot in this match. Everyone got their offense in pretty much. Team Hogan was all outside of the ring when Ricochet hot tagged to Reigns, who gets in and clears house. He runs around the ring outside. He drop kicks Orton and Lashley. Superman punch by Reigns, who also dives outside of the ring onto everybody. There was a part in this match where Roman Reigns does his over the third rope Superman dive, which is still kind of cool to me. It's it's run of the mill, it's predictable, but everybody was out there and they took a piece of that. Towards the end of this match, we saw Gable. Now this is what here's the kicker. There's a lot happening in the end of this match. Randy Orton had Reigns down. Wait, let me make sure I have this right in order. Okay, here we go. Right. Reigns dived outside the ring, right? They're back in the ring. Roman Reigns was going for a spear. Orton reversed it into an RKO. Reigns was down, but he kicked out of the RKO because Roman Reigns kicks out of everything. and he was down, and Orton was looking like he was going to go to that psychotic place that is advertised for the punt. Now, I don't know the last time he executed the punt, but he always looks like he's going to go for it, and I think one of these years or matches, they really need to do that, because it will be a huge moment when he actually hits that punt again. Gable was grabbed Randy Orton's legs when he was on the corner ropes, and hold him down. Ricochet entered the ring, and Ali also entered the ring. Ali caught an RKO from Randy Orton. This was after the fact. Well, no, he got back up. Ricochet and Ali dived outside of the ring, both knocking down the rest of Team Flair. Orton was semi-dazed. Reigns was still in the ring. I know this is kind of like a complete clusterfuck here. Orton was semi-dazed, turns in the ring. Roman Reigns charges him from the corner, hits him with a spear to win. Team Hogan is victorious. The end of this match was good. Everyone got their offense in. It was a good match. It's not, going to be, oh my God, kind of thing. But overall, this was a good match. And Team Hogan was victorious. The main event of the evening featured Seth Rollins defending his Universal title against The Fiend Bray Wyatt in a Falls Count Anywhere match. And I didn't understand. One of the things that bothered me with this is that they stated in a Falls Count Anywhere match could not end for any reason. What happened, and here's one of the things that people don't realize, the way that they're insulting you. One of the things with this was that earlier at Hell in a Cell, when the referee stopped the match between them both, Wyatt had a couple of chairs and it was a curb stomp and a ladder on top of him. But yet at the end of this match, what happens to him happens and he gets right back up. But they didn't think that. Well, if you think about it in a huge standpoint, you knew that they couldn't stop the match after what happened, which I'll get to in a minute. So that's another thing I didn't think about for this. But actually, yeah, that's true. Okay, so they stated that could not end for any reason. That was just a dumb thing. Don't state that. Because the company couldn't be dumb enough to have a no decision 2 times in a row, especially in this situation. So this is a Falls Count Anywhere match, and this match was actually awful. This match was awful. So boring, so slow, and for the love of God, can somebody turn the red fucking lights off during the Bray Wyatt matches? I know it adds to the mystique, but it is killing my cornea and my vision as a whole. There was a springboard knee from Seth Rollins early in this match. Rollins was dumped out. Match takes place outside a bit. Bray Wyatt missed a tackle, a body drop tackle, to Seth Rollins, and he went right through the barricade. Rollins was utilizing the steel chair to him. Rollins goes for a sledgehammer hit. Bray Wyatt hits him with the Manimal Call, but that was not going to be it. Wyatt also misses a backdrop and goes through a table in this match. Rollins kicks out of Sister Abigail, which was done outside of the ring. And this match ends up going to the stage. Rollins, apparently, again, WWE insulting your intelligence and making Seth Rollins look like a blithering idiot. He keeps going for his curb stomps. Took 14 of them in Hell in a Cell. Didn't do you any good, but let's keep trying it again, right? Let's not develop, instead of Seth Rollins trying to develop a new move that might do a lot of damage, let's keep trying the same damn thing, because that's going to work. Yeah, well, 10 curb stomps didn't work at Hell in a Cell, but we're going to try that again, because why not, right? Who cares about the Universal title? I don't care about the Universal title. He tries his super kicks, his curb stomps, and it does absolutely nothing. Wyatt is relentless against them. Rollins super kicks Wyatt. Now this was where the match really started to get good. Rollins super kicked Wyatt, and he fell off the stage onto that little pyro studio equipment box area. You know what I'm talking about. And fire, boom, 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 fireworks and shit. And everyone, anytime in WWE, when someone falls off a stage through fireworks, they're automatically dead. So that happened, right? And Rollins is going down there. They got equipment boxes stacked up, so you can't see Bray physically, and he's trying to move them. As you can see, Rollins is exhausted, so he's moving them. He doesn't see Bray when he tries to look over. He turns away and faces the opposite direction for a minute. Now, this was awesome. He turns away and faces the opposite direction for a minute, and all of a sudden, you see Bray Wyatt stand up, all tall and with a tough demeanor, and for a minute, I was like, I thought that there was maybe a chance, but I'm like, damn, this was cool. So you seen him stand up. Rollins was shocked when he figured that out. Bray Wyatt was using the mandible claw on Rollins, who was defenseless against it, and then he's defenseless against it. He then switched it to his sister Abigail to pin Seth and win the Universal Championship. Now, I love this ending sequence too. The lights go out, maybe about 5 to 10 seconds, and all of a sudden, you hear the screeches from Bray Wyatt's theme song come up, and he's holding up the Universal title with the white lights flashing in the back, and it's absolutely an epic scene. The lights go out, Bray Wyatt's on the stage with the lights flickering while holding the Universal title, and the lights go back up and come back on, and they shoot fireworks again and say thank you for being part of this Saudi Arabia show, yada, yada, yada. And that was Crown Jewel, folks. So, you know, it was just there. I think the ending to the show was pretty epic, but the show itself was just there. Like I said, big moments for history, emotional moments, all that, yada, 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 that was in this. But that's basically where I am with this. Now, what I think, here's what I think. NXT will be a part of Survivor Series, which is the next pay-per-view, if I'm not mistaken. And based on how it's going to be built, I think that Survivor Series has a chance to be the best pay-per-view of the year. In recent years, Survivor Series for WWE in general has been an exceptional pay-per-view and gotten a lot better, and believe it or not, it is one of the pay-per-views that I extremely look forward to. I think Survivor Series could hit it out of the park. It all depends on how they build everything. So we'll see what happens tonight on SmackDown. That was your Crown Jewel review. I hope you enjoyed the review. The show itself was bleh. It was just blah. It wasn't really anything that I would go back and watch, but the ending was definitely cool, and I appreciate you guys watching.